Now we'll cover how to view and edit HTML directly from the editor. This can be used in either the article editor or custom HTML module to allow you to manually code or correct HTML for some particular content. There are a few things that we need to know in order to do this properly, so we'll cover them here. As we've learned, the TinyMCE editor, as well as other third-party editors, all use HTML behind the WYSIWYG editor view. This allows you to compose content in the familiar model of a basic word processor while providing Joomla what it needs to display to the site visitor. In the end, though, it's all HTML underneath. Sometimes we want to edit this HTML content manually. The issue is that the editor often gets in the way of letting us do what we want. For example, most editors have cleanup or filter functions that will attempt to auto-correct HTML that they cannot process correctly. This leads to many custom HTML edits being wiped out if you attempt to blend manual edits with the WYSIWYG edits. Once you hand edit the HTML, you may simply need to hand edit that particular content from now on. The editor may or may not be able to handle it. Here's how to make things a little easier for you if you choose to do this. First, we'll cover how to edit HTML directly. Let's go to the Article Manager and start a new article. If you're using the TinyMCE editor or some other related editor, you may see a button in the editor controls that switches the editor itself into HTML mode. This gives you the editor's own interpretation of what you might want to edit. The code is still filtered through the editor, and the editor may adopt or change the code after you save. This may result in you losing some of your customized code, and it may not be what you intended. Here we'll go ahead and add some custom HTML to the editor and see what happens. If we update and have a look, we can see that this particular HTML edit was accepted by the editor. But if we go back and look again, we can see that the TinyMCE editor has modified our HTML to fit its own internal style. What's worse, this particular editor does not support every attribute of every element. This means that it will often attempt to correct perfectly valid HTML and will often wipe your changes out if it doesn't fit its own model. To really edit HTML directly, you need to use a different editor or temporarily disable the editor on your account. To disable the editor, it's best to do it on your own account only, especially if you're sharing administration duties with other people. To change your own editor, visit the User Manager and edit your own user's editor. You can choose the No Editor option, and now you'll be able to put it into a simple text box where you can hand edit the HTML exactly how you want. Each change you make will be saved exactly as you intend, and there will be no attempt by the editor plugins to modify it when you save it. Keep in mind that the next time you want to edit this content, you should go back and use this same method to turn the editor off. If you ever open up this content in the editor or save and apply, your hand-edited code will be irreplaceably altered by the editor. This process is the most foolproof way to hand-edit HTML using the Joomla core. It should be okay for an occasional hand edit here or there. If you do a lot of hand editing, it's best to look into third-party editors that give you more control. Check the JED or the Joomla Extensions directory for the latest available and compatible third-party editors that will suit your needs. On a final note, it is possible to try to tune the TinyMCE editor via the editor plugin settings or even editing the Joomla plugin code directly. You can achieve a certain level of compromise this way and perhaps get the editor working in a way that you want, but it's usually a poor idea to do so. Any Joomla updates tend to overwrite those fixes or change their behavior. The best recourse is to use the No Editor option or find a good third-party editor that will allow you unfettered hand editing of the HTML.